Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping into the Toledo, Ohio real estate market, taking a look at the sales from the first part of August 2025. We've got some really big numbers, a few surprises, and a pretty fascinating contrast between some of the city's key neighborhoods.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The big question on everyone's mind is always, where was the action? Was it in the historic districts, the sprawling suburbs? Well, we're about to find out.
But hang on, before we get to the addresses and the dollar signs, we need to do a super quick breakdown of some legal jargon. You see this stuff all the time in property records, and trust me, knowing what it means is key to understanding what's really going on.
Have you ever been scrolling through records and seen this ORSUVTC on a deed and just thought, what in the world is that? Well, it's a shorthand, and it tells a very specific and actually very important story about who owns a property.
It's actually pretty simple. It just stands for a right of survivorship. This is a super common way for spouses or family members to own a property together. It basically ensures that if one person passes away, the property automatically and smoothly transfers to the other owners, without all the hassle of probate court. Now that you know, I guarantee you're going to start seeing it everywhere.
All right, with our little legal lesson out of the way, let's get into the sales. And we're going to start in the gorgeous, historic Old West End, zip code 43620. And to be totally honest, it was an incredibly quiet week for this iconic neighborhood.
And I mean, this table pretty much says it all. There were only 2 transactions recorded, period. One was 2429 North Detroit Avenue, which was a $0 transfer from Sammy Parisi over to the Lucas County Land Reutilization Corp. The other was the sale of 2370 Parkwood Avenue by Mary H. Brown.
And that sale on Parkwood? It went for $240,400. And that was it. That was the only market rate sale in the entire neighborhood. Just one. Now, as you're about to see, things were a whole lot busier in other parts of town.
So now, let's head on over to West Toledo, zip code 43615, where, wow, the story could not have been more different. Over here, we saw a ton of action on both the commercial and the residential side of things.
The activity here was really led by a major commercial sale, which clocked in at just shy of that $500,000 mark.
And let's break down the highlights. As you can see, that $499,000 commercial sale was at 2003 North Reynolds Road. But the variety here is what's so interesting. The top residential sale hit a strong $350,000 at 2249 Woods Edge Court. We also saw this neat little double deal where a company, Bonsidium LLC, sold 2 separate properties, one on Judge Drive and another on Saturn Drive, to the same buyers, Molly and Scott Miles, for $135,000 each. And you can't forget the weird ones, right? Like the property at 5101 South Avenue, which was recorded for just $1. But you know what? Even all that busy activity in West Toledo kind of gets put in the shade by what happened in Sylvania in the 43623 zip code. This is where we find the single biggest transaction of the week. And it wasn't even close. $2 million. Just a massive commercial deal that completely dominated the week's real estate story and really shows a major investment is being made in that area.
So here are the details on that one. The property is at 5155 Sylvania Avenue. The seller was Walker Family Enterprises LLC, and the buyer was Walker Funeral Holdings LLC. That $2 million deal was the clear headliner of the week.
And it wasn't just commercial real estate making noise in Sylvania. The residential market was incredibly strong too. We saw a sale at 4329 Woodbriar Drive for just under $400,000 and another home at 4702 Burning Tree Drive for a solid $350,000. So, after we've looked at all those numbers and all those addresses, what's the big picture? What does all of this really tell us about the Toledo market in early August? You know, it's really a tale of 2 markets. On one side, you have the historic Old West End, which was practically silent. And on the other, you've got this flurry of activity in West Toledo and Sylvania with huge commercial investments and really high-value homes trading hands. The contrast is just so striking. So ultimately, the takeaway for this week is pretty simple. While one of Toledo's most beloved neighborhoods took a little pause, the rest of the market was absolutely buzzing, dominated by high-dollar deals and led, of course, by that enormous $2 million transaction out in Sylvania. And you know, that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. Was this quiet week in the Old West End just a temporary lull, a little blip, before things pick right back up? Or are we maybe seeing the beginning of a shift in the market dynamics for this beautiful historic neighborhood? We'll definitely be watching to find out. Thanks for joining us.